Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk, back again with you guys for a brand new series. We've got quite a few series on the channel. You've got your Let's Talk Arsenal shows, your morning 8 a.m. shows that have been very successful and a lot of you are enjoying. Tactical breakdowns, podcasts, but this is a little bit different. And genuinely, it's something that I've wanted to do for a while. It's my obsession with always needing to know more, which is probably why I've gone into journalism. And it's basically more of a social, chilled chat with a guest. And I'm today very happy to be joined by lead judges. How you doing, mate? Are you well?
Yeah, good, thanks. Honoured to be the first on the series, folks. Thank you very much for it.
There was a reason why I wanted to get you on firstly, because obviously we've kind of shared this journey of being within the Arsenal kind of world and on YouTube. I mean, we've known each other for I think about 5-6 years.
Yeah, it must be getting on for that now, yeah.
And I mean, I think we first became friends just after your explosive AFTV debut. And of course, you went on to join Craig on the Gooner Talk when it was obviously Craig started the Gooner Talk initially. And Craig's obviously someone that I'd love to get on the show and speak to more. So you can probably expect that. But the idea of this show is that I'm going to talk to people that I know, like Lee, very well. And I'm going to talk to people that I don't know. And we're going to find out a lot more about them and their journey in the world of kind of the Arsenal fandom and the sphere of and the chaos and the calamities that can occur from being within this world of very much the public domain of the Arsenal fan world. But I do want to start, Lee, much further back, way before you had the displeasure of having to meet me for the first time, and kind of go to the roots of your love of Arsenal initially. So to talk to me, why is it you're an Arsenal fan? Where did that come from?
Well, it come from my dad, really. My dad was a massive Arsenal fan. Just very, very passionate about it and all that. But as you know, but probably people won't know, I was brought up in an Arsenal and Spurs community. My granddad and all my mum's sort of side were massive Spurs fans. Seasons you get older, and my brother, of course, is a Spurs fan. So all my nephews are Spurs fans. But so, back in those days, Tom, you could go to a game one week and then the following week go to Arsenal. Now, I remember going back, I can't remember what games it was, but it was whenever it was. But Arsenal and Spurs weren't that great. I know that for a matter of fact. They weren't winning things, or they was really down the bottom of the leagues, if I remember rightly. And probably both teams at the time were going through big changes of after being successful, but players coming towards the end of their careers that were stalwarts for the Arsenal and Spurs. But so I'd go over there at White Hart Lane one week with my granddad and go and watch the games then. And then the following week, if my dad was available, because he was I think he was working on the buses or the lorries at the time, he'd take me to a game on the Saturday, but my dad was great. He never really pushed me or my brother to be Arsenal or Spurs fans. He just used to take us. If you want to be an Arsenal fan, then great. I always remember, he'd say at the dinner table, you got an extra potato there or extra Yorkshire pudding, something like that. He'd always whisper that in my ear. You know why, son? You know why? So, and it was just one day, and just the red and white shirts and Highbury. That was the main thing. White Hart Lane was a great stadium, but it was just something about Highbury. It was different. The floodlights weren't pylons. They were on the stands. There's something about the North Bank was more appealing to me than the Shelf, and the clock end was something special. Just really Highbury, Tom, and my granddad had said, right, we're all going over to White Hart Lane today. You coming, Lee? And I said, you know what? Nah, I'm an Arsenal fan now. I'm gonna go stick.
How did he take that? How did he take that?
Yeah, that was all right about it, because obviously, my dad.
Would you be all right with that if you had a kid and did that? Would you? Oh, man.
No, I don't. I don't. My son's not as passionate as about Arsenal as I am. You know what I mean? Can take it or leave it. So I've never forced him to support Arsenal. As long as it wasn't Spurs. You know what I mean? But my granddad was a real. How could I say? He was a big Tottenham fan, but he didn't have that hatred for Arsenal. You know what I mean? It wasn't as bad. You know what I mean? We'd go those sort of times. I remember Christmas and around those sort of times, it would be like coming in from. I remember one time we played on a Boxing Day. I can't remember what year it was, and
Yeah.
we was all around with Granddad. All aside went one way, and me and my dad and like my friends and my dad. My dad really, my cousins are all Arsenal fans because of my dad's influence. Like, you know, and one of my cousins is a season ticket holder at the Arsenal, so there was a big influence both ways, you know. And we'd meet up, and there would be like banter, and it wasn't that hatred. There was, you know, more having a dig at each other in a real friendly sort of way. So there wasn't a hatred between Arsenal and Spurs, but obviously the rivalry was there, and we'd take the mickey out of them. And I remember when Arsenal won 5-0 and Liam Brady scored that wonder goal we've all seen. There was lots of banter going around there because obviously we'd won 5-0. But my granddad was like, he wasn't one of those ones that would, oh, that's it, you know, I ain't take you no more. He accepted it that I was an Arsenal fan, and that was that really.
It's obviously a really strange kind of paradox is a good word to describe that. The two ends of the spectrum, and so different, varying levels of emotion. You grow up being an Arsenal fan, and obviously you reach an age in which I think you probably end up understanding a lot more about football, and you can appreciate it more, and you get into kind of that football fandom period. Now, a lot of the viewers who know you from AFTV are obviously a lot younger and have experienced Arsenal during kind of the years of the mobile phones and social media and stuff. How different is it? Like when you think back 20 years ago, like, and how was Arsenal going to a game? How you talked about it? How you felt about it? Does it feel different now? Not just with, like, obviously we know the results are very different and like the achievements are very different because we know we've regressed quite a lot since those days. But does it feel different?
Yeah, it's totally different now, and I'll tell you the reason why. Because, like, you know, when I go back to supporting Arsenal as the younger generation in my teens and whatever, like, you know, as a young Arsenal fan, there was only like match of the day. The big match was on, I think, like, you know what I mean, but no real live football. So you wasn't fed it 24/7, you know, like, you know, if Arsenal lost, you'd have the ump, but there was other things in life that were going on, so you could, I don't know, get away from it, but like not be involved so much with it. Nowadays, if Arsenal, you know, you've got games on a Friday night, Saturday night, there's games on all the time. So if you've lost, it seems to rub it in your face a little bit because the other teams are all playing and things like that. You know, everybody played on at 3 o'clock, Tom, you know, on a Saturday when I first started following the Arsenal, you know, or it was a midweek game, but, you know, not on TV, not live, you know what I mean? So it was completely different. So you could, best way of explaining it, jump in and out like of football. Do you know what I mean? It was for a Saturday afternoon, you was engrossed in it, and then it was finished. You know what I mean? Like you'd pick up the paper Sunday morning, read about it. You could choose to either read that paper or not.
It wasn't forced in your face. Yeah,
it wasn't forced. Exactly, that's a great word to say. It's not forced, but every time you put on the telly, you got Sky Sports News going on about it. Well, it was, you could get away from it and stay away from it, if you know what I mean. Like it wasn't in and around your face or in and around your world. You'd then go and play football on a Sunday morning with your mates, you know, and whatever, and there'd be a bit of banter in the dressing room, like, you know what I mean, like, and then you'd go out and play the game, and of course then that game took over, and everybody'd be talking about that game afterwards and whatever. And that was it. You know, the Sunday was a quiet Sunday where you'd have family dinners and things like that, not running off to football like you do now. And it was a different way of going. And a lot of the older fans and everybody would turn around and say to you, Tom, well, they were the good old days and they were great. They were good old days, but there were bad times as well, Tom. You know what I mean? Like if you was going on a away game, you'd get on a train and then you'd be hauled into a cage at the station and then waiting for an escort to take you to the ground. Then you go into the ground and then you'd have to wait and then you'd be escorted out, put back into a cage and then onto a train, you know. So when people say it was fantastic, it wasn't, all great. So like you'd actually not seen too much of visiting cities, which nowadays you can, go out for the weekends and things like that and enjoy the football as well as other things and experience other parts of the weekend,
Did you prefer it? Like you say there about how the experience is very different. It's more accessibility now, but the raw side of the game, as it was stripped back, no, not necessarily the same amount of media and attention and analysis. Did you prefer it then?
Oh yeah, I think I preferred the game. It was a
Mm,
proper game. I think the atmosphere was fantastic in the stands. You'd listen. There was lots of trouble going back in the time and all
mm,
that lot. But if you wanted trouble, you could get trouble, Tom. If you didn't want trouble, you could avoid it. You know what I mean? Let's be honest. So sometimes you wanted to avoid it and you got caught up in it. It was just one of those things. So you had to be on your wits edge. You knew what you had to do. But
mm,
the football was better. The actual football was better. Proper tackles going in, proper players playing it, and not all this money making sort of thing. Now, listen, the best teams, the big clubs had the best players, but ultimately, there was a more of a level playing field. The Nottingham Forest were fantastic in the day. Aston Villa were a great side. Leeds United. There was more teams that you could go in, and the one great thing was the FA Cup. It was like
mm,
an absolute fantastic a competition. I remember as a kid in our dinner hour on a Monday, listening to a radio with someone that sneaked in, and you'd listen to the draw. It was like like the romance of it. It was nerve wracking as you was all
mm.
going around. You had the Spurs fans, the West Ham fans. Wasn't very many Chelsea fans back then that they get that big in, and
Yeah.
you thought, wow, we got this and so, Man United was still a well supported club in London
Mm,
back in the day, and it was just fantastic, Tom. That side of things, But ultimately, football changed once. I think the Premier League come in. It was still, people turn around and say, he won the Premier League. Well, there were title races before that, and in my day, the greatest one in '89 weren't the Premier League. But you tell
mm.
me anything better than that, and I'll argue till the cows come home on that. So it was a great time. The romance of the cup, football, and all that completely changed when the Premier League come in. Whether you think it's better or not, listen, we've witnessed wonderful, wonderful players, not just at Arsenal all round, but ultimately it changed then. And the way of watching football, the way of going to football completely changed. Completely changed. Obviously, Hillsborough had a lot to do with that,
Yeah.
where it went into all-seater stadium, but it changed once the Premier League come in.
The experiences of obviously your modern era of witnessing Arsenal over the last, let's try and estimate, around just under 10 years has dramatically changed.
Mm.
The way in which you go to games. I mean, obviously know your good mates quite well. I'm very honoured to have met the big Tone and gone to games along with Tony and been to the pub with the like, and obviously a core group that you had that you went to games.
Yeah.
Um, and one day you, after a game, are aware of this very young, but people are aware of AFTV by this
Mm.
point and stuff. And why did you go on there and do what you did for your first show? Why? What
Do you
was the
know? Do you
decision
know what?
process?
I've been asked that question a million times. Why? Out of frustration. Out of
Mm,
frustration, and of what was going in, because people would listen. I mean, your group would listen to you, and there was things like going back there. I wasn't even on Twitter or social media or anything like that at that moment in time, but it was just born out of frustration of what I was seeing and whatever. And listen, I'm one of the old school fans. The AFTV thing was going about and all that. Never had a problem with it. Never, I've always been very, very open about football, about it
mm,
changing. It changed. It's because it's changed so many times in my lifetime. It's changed. Like the rules have changed. you know, the way that you go to games are changing. And I just feel like, you know, you have to change with it. Do I like some of the rules now that are playing football? Well, no, I don't. You know what I mean? But like the way the game's gone, I don't necessarily agree with it. So I was always thinking, well, you know, this was here and whatever. And a little bit of naivety, Tom, if I'll be honest, because I didn't really know anything about social media or anything like that. And it was just there one day.
Did you watch it before you'd been on? Had you seen it before? Yeah.
Yeah, funny enough, I did watch it, and I'd watched Claude a few times, and I'll be honest, you'd come away from away games, and you know, on your phone, and you'd be travelling back, and I didn't want to hear Radio 5 people on there talking about, or say like, I don't know, I'm just going to pull out a name, Tim Sherwood talking about Arsenal, or I don't know, a Man United player
Savage,
talking about Arsenal or whatever like that. I didn't really like that. So there was this thing where the fans were on. So I thought, well, I'll listen to them, and I could relate to what they were feeling, particularly Claude. I could relate to what he was saying and things like that. Obviously, like I knew Mo from working at Tesco's. He was working at Tesco's where I'd done the dry cleaning, and I bumped into him in the lift one day, and I said, "Oh, you're the guy from AFTV," like, you know, and I just had a chat with him about it and things like that. So I enjoyed watching that sort of side of things and just getting a view from what other fans say, and I the concept of it and all that. I thought was fantastic. Like, and I know you even went on it one time, didn't you?
I did.
Early doors, you know? So, which I have seen. You go and check it out. Very young Tom.
Oh God, it's awful. The hair in that video is
yeah. So I thought it was something that was that I quite enjoyed. Did I ever think I'd go on it? No, I never did, or anything like that. And it was just purely spontaneous that I did. I was just come out of the game against Swansea. I was peeved. I was like really annoyed because we've been up to Man United on the weekend, and we'd lost 3-2 when you remember Rashford scored his first couple of goals. They was a weak Man United team, and just coming out of that day, the frustrations boiled in, and we lost to Swansea.
Was that the Jefferson Montero game? Was that the Montero game where he skinned Chambers, Montero?
No, it was at home. I think Giroud missed a couple of shots. I'll tell you who scored.
Yes.
Ashley Williams scored, I think, the winner from and Giroud missed from a yard, and it was, you know, and I remember coming out, Tom, and people were going, yeah, you know, like Spurs have lost. I think Spurs I don't know who they'd lost to. West Ham, I can't even remember who they'd lost to. And I was thinking, look at all these fans; they're all more happy that Spurs have lost than us. And I was in a real mood. Funny enough, I bumped into my mate Martin, who's going on Sunday today, and he was with me at the time, and we still talk about it to this day. Like, you know what I mean? And with all of our group had all gone, you know, they're going to go back up to the pub. I don't know why me and Martin didn't. We'd walked around another way or something like that. I can't remember why, but we was on the way to the pub anyway, coming back. And it was there, and I said something. I just said something, you know, like, you know, and someone said, well, why don't you get there on there and say that? What you just said, because it was good what you said, or something of those lines. And I went, yeah, I will do, like, but thinking nothing of it. And as I said that to him, you know what it's like now to get round out. You can't get round it for love or money.
Yeah.
But it just opened up like the sea, you know, Moses at the sea, like, you know what I mean?
Robbie parted the seas.
You know what I mean? And I just went on there and just said what I said, you know, and I have to say that interview changed my life. I didn't realise it at the time. It changed my Arsenal life. It's changed my life completely. And yeah, that was it. And I remember like laughing at Martin, and he said, "Yeah, well done. You've done well there. Great. You know what I mean? Like, right, let's get home." Like, you know, I got on the train, and I thought, I shouldn't have done that. What have I done there? Like,
really?
Because you start worrying about things then, what people are going to say,
absolutely,
what people are going to do. You also worry about. I was worried about. I swore on it a couple of times. What they're going to say at work? Am I going to lose contracts and things like that? What's going to happen? I don't really know what's going to happen. So I remember phoning Tony up, who was a little bit more. I know at this stage of my life, I don't know nothing about social media, Twitter, Instagram, nothing like, you know.
Yeah.
I was on Facebook at the time, and I just phoned up Tony. I said, I think I've done the wrong thing here. He's gone, what have you done? So I said, I've gone on that AFTV and I've give it large on there. And he's gone, oh, bloody hell. He said, like, can I scrub it off? Can I get rid of it? Like, I feel like I don't. He's gone, you can't do that. It's just out there now. It's done.
Yeah.
He goes, let me check it out. I'll ring you back. So he checked it out because I, you know what I mean? Like, I'm thinking, what have I got to do here? You know what I mean? Like, and I'm thinking, oh, you know, should I get on the phone and do it and everything like that? And anyway, he's come back. He's got his going bloody mad. He's going viral.
How did you feel when he said that? Like,
well, I'm worried.
Did you know what viral meant then? Like, no, I mean that genuinely and sincerely.
I said to him, what's viral mean? He goes, viral. It means it's going all over the bloody place. I said to him, for Christ's sakes, can't you stop it? Can't you stop it? He said, no, I can't stop it. So I've got home and, like, you know, I've got on the phone and I've watched it and I thought, well, yeah, it's a bit raw. I swore a couple of times and things like that. So I thought, oh, well, we'll go away in the morning. That'd be the end of it. You know what I mean? Like, you know, like old news, like in the newspaper, old news, you know what I mean? So 3 o'clock in the morning, my phone's ringing. Oh, look, God, you know, buzzing and that. You know, Tony, he's gone. He's going mad, mate. After that, I can't believe this. He's gone absolutely mental. It's going mental. It's going mental. So I said, what do you mean it's going mental? He says, you ain't going to believe what it's going like, you know. So I thought, oh, Christ, I don't know what to do about it. Like, so now I'm going to work on the Wednesday. I get a phone call from Alistair, like Alistair. He now works for Spurs, but he was working for the local papers. Phoned me up because where I was like locally at football, he had my number for interviews and whatever. He phoned me up and said, Lee, I just gone mad about what you done yesterday, that thing. You got Piers Morgan and Gary Lineker having a row. Can I have an interview? Like, you know what? So I'm going, what, an exclusive? He said, yeah. Like, you know, he said, can you say a few words to them for the local newspaper around my area? So I'm on the phone saying, you know, blah, 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 blah. I didn't think nothing of it. So this is on the Wednesday. The paper is every Friday, comes out on a Friday. So when I see Alistair, I'm going to have a game about this because anyway, I've gone to work and the people are coming up to me and going, oh, fantastic, what a great interview that was and everything like that. So I'm thinking, oh, well, that's all right. Tesco's have been all right about it and everything like that. Well, of course, it comes out on the Friday. They couldn't have picked a more angrier photo of me on the back page. You know what I mean? Like, you know, they couldn't have done one of these smiling. Yeah. Oh, no, it's me going like that at a game. Do you know what I mean? Snarling and everything like that. So that's how it went. So I thought, well, it'd die down, and that'd be the end of it. Like, you know, and then that's how I genuinely thought, Tom. Genuinely, that was it. Now that was it. And of course, then we was playing Spurs away. At the game, and I don't know if you remember, it's when Coquelin got sent off, and we Sanchez scored in the last minute, made it 2-2.
2-2, yeah.
Well, I'm standing there at the beginning of the game, thinking nothing of it. I'm in the stadium, and my phone's going crazy, Tom, absolutely crazy. And I'm looking at it and like, you can't really hear when you're in the ground and all that. What's going on? I said, you're all over BT Sport, Ian Wright's loving you, Piers Morgan and all that. Like, so I remember saying, like, I felt like phoning up Michelle or my mum saying, get that on video, because like, I haven't got it on Sky Plastic or anything like that. What they're saying and all that, like, you know. So and of course, you know, it comes out and Robbie says, can you have another interview? And I said, no, that's it, me, I'm done and all that, like, you know. But I done another one and the rest is history.
Why did you do another one?
Well, because I was just, I actually said, no, I don't do it. I said, I'll just do a couple more minutes, just do a couple of more minutes, just a quick one. So I thought, well, all right, it was where I'd been moaning and all that, like, I felt, well, I'll do this one where we've got a good point at Tottenham under a big it would be like, show me as a different light. There wasn't the angry sort of side of things. So I thought, well, I'll do that. And I sort of done one. Yeah, I'm pleased with that. Like, yeah, I've calmed down from Wednesday night. And that was it, like, you know. But then I got so much love and people coming up to me, patting me on the back. That was the key to it. Like, do you know what I mean? If I'll be honest, people were saying, "Oh, well done," and all that. And I'll never forget, Tom. I put something on Facebook. Mesut Ozil had a bad game. Replies none. You know what I mean? Like, so, and then I put something on Facebook again, like, you know, and it went mad. Absolutely went mad. You know what I mean? Where, you know, people were interested in my opinion. And I think that's the greatest thing, Tom. The greatest thing about it, you can take about lots of things. People are interested in what I say, whether they agree with it or not. They're interested in what you can say. And I think that's a gift. I really do, because no one gives a damn what I thought about it 8 years ago. Now,
do you think that's why? Do you think that's why you stuck with it? Was that the main thing for you? And it's human nature that we crave enjoying the sounds of our own voices. Like, it sounds really self-centered, but it's just part of human nature. When someone tells you that you've done, like, that they love what you've got to say, and even in the other end of the spectrum, when someone tells you they don't agree with your opinion, it's human nature to want to explain why you're right.
Yeah,
and
of course. Of course. And I think that, listen, Tom, I don't care about what anybody says in it. You've got an ego. Otherwise, you wouldn't be doing this.
Yeah.
I've got an ego.
People will tell you.
You know what I mean? Everybody's got an ego to a certain degree. Well, you know, with you you'd express it on a football field if you was good enough. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you know, I'm good. I'm
Thierry
good.
Henry, one of the most arrogant men on earth.
Everybody's got that in them. You know what I mean? Like film stars or whatever. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, so professional footballers, you know, all those players that you run out on the pitch, they've got an ego, because otherwise they wouldn't be where they are. So it's just, you know, it is, and that probably was something to do with it, that I got a bit of love out of it and likability. Tom, if it had gone the other way and everybody would have hated me, I probably wouldn't have ever gone on it again. You know what I mean? Like, but the fact of the matter is, people were like being very, very nice to me, being respectful about what I said and all that, and that was it. And when I look back on it now, you know, when it had 5.5 million views all over the whatever, you know, 5.5 million people have seen that video. You know,
you watch it back a lot. Do you watch it back? Have you watched it back?
I don't watch it. I don't watch it back so much now, because I a little bit.
Is it embarrassing? Do you find it embarrassing now?
No. Listen, Tom, how can you be embarrassed about something that's
changed your life?
It's changed your life. Yeah. So listen, I never planned to do that. Like, and other people have done other things to try and to get themselves what they are. It was spontaneous, and I've got no problems with it. With anybody doing what they have to do to try and go to it. I never went on there to say, right, I didn't even know about views and what they meant and all that. Like, it wasn't about that for me. I've realised later on how important views are and everything like that, but that wasn't the reason that I went on it. I just done it, and I you know, listen, I never actually went on that, Tom, and this is, you know, I mean, the truth, as I'm saying, to get famous or to get money out of it or any of those sort of things. I know people that see it as an avenue to do different things now. And AFT gives opportunities for people to do that, and people have gone on to do bigger and better things. It was never that for me. So I was always grateful that what happened. Now, listen, a lot of other people have done better out of it than me and done this and all that, like, and there are times you get a little bit envious, because I think that's a word to use, because they're doing this and doing that. And I always used to, someone said to me, look, you never went in it for this. You know what I mean? So whatever you get out of it is a bonus. And that's that. The biggest gift of all, Tom, the biggest gift that I can say that I've ever had is that ex-Arsenal players that I went and watched up and down the country know who I am. That is the biggest gift that you can get. My biggest idol, never the greatest Arsenal player, but my idol, my hero was Charlie Nicholas. You know what I mean? Not only have I met him, I've done a show with him, thanks to the lounge, but also
shout out to Shaheen and Lev.
Yeah, for arranging that. then to go and actually meet him the following week, because it was just a coincidence that we was going to do he was doing a show. Hello, Lee, how are you? All right, love to meet you and all that, like in person and all that. And when someone asks him a question, what do you think of the current Arsenal predicament? He turns around and says, I had a conversation with Lee last week about this. Come on, Tom, you know what I mean? That's someone that I followed up and down the country, had my hair done like him and all that.
No, you didn't. I don't believe it.
Believe it or not, I did. I've got pictures to prove it. And, you know, I mean, that's Charlie Nicholas's signed shirt up there, like, you know, and to be able to tell him that I named my son after him, things like that. And now, you know, have conversations with him, not just Charlie Nicholas, you know what I mean? Like Ian Wright, Paul Merson, that knows Ray Parler, Perry Groves. I go to those sort of dudes. They come up to me, how you doing, Lee? All right. Like, you know, like I'm talking to Perry Groves the other day, and he's going like, what was your journey up like from just come up on the A1, even, you know, knows where I come from and whatever, like, do you know what I mean? And things like that, you know what I mean? And listen, I've got a fantastic friendship with Kevin Campbell. Like, we're really, really close friends now. I'm not saying it was all because of AFTV, because it isn't, but it was one of the reasons, you know, that, you know, he used to watch.
Why would you say it isn't? Because I know that what people will say is, Lee, is they'll say, say you never jumped on that show, so you never did that interview ever, and you just carried on going to games like you did for the previous however many years, do you think that you would have met those people?
No, 100% not. 100% not. Kevin,
why would you say that it's not all to do with AFTV?
Well, because like Kevin always says to me, we would have met somewhere along the line. You know what I mean? It was destiny.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like he's always I've always said it was to do with AFTV, but he'll say, oh no, you know, it would have happened. You know what I mean? But listen, I'm not saying it. You know what I mean? If I'd be honest, would have Kevin followed me if I was on AFTV? Because that's how it started. He followed me on Twitter. You know, for a start. Because of AFTV, I wouldn't have been on Twitter. So, like, that was the first thing that I'd done was get Twitter. You know what I mean? Yeah. And you know, the story is on that. If you want to listen to that, is that I'm going to the game against Watford. Do you remember when Petr Cech saved that penalty from Troy Deeney?
I was there. I was there with our friend Mike. We were there.
You was there that night.
Yeah.
I'm going to. I played football in the morning, and I'm going to the game in the afternoon. And I've just got a message just come on a DM message from Kevin just saying, look, I'm down for the game. I'm working on TV. Do you want to meet after the game? We'll go for a drink. You know what I mean? And you know, I've had to look at it 3 times. You know what I mean? Like, I couldn't believe it. And as it happens, I was going football, and I remember like being in the changing room and getting changed and all that, and then I was all cock-a-root and all that going, well, so I said, look, I've had this from Kevin Camp. Like, they're going, oh, it's unbelievable. Like, you know what I mean? We're going to go. And yes, I said, yeah, of course I am. Like, you know. And then, so that's how it happened. I met him at, he come out of the thing. I said, I've got to do my interview. Come up and listen to the interview. And then we went off. And, yeah, I said to him, you know, like, what do you want to do? Do you want to go for a quiet drink somewhere? Or, look, I said, look, a few of me mates are going to be up to 12 pins. You want to come up there? Going to be a bit loud here, all the Gooners. What's up to you? What you want to do? He said, come on, let's go. And you know what the night was like after that, like, you know, and that was the friendship.
Great night, yeah.
Yeah, that was the friendship from there. We went out, had that drink, so much so that we then become quite close friends and all that. And we played West Ham in a league game, and they were celebrating 30 years of winning the FA Youth Cup. And Kevin phoned me up, and in a box they were like for that, and they all went on the pitch at half time or before the game, waved to the crowd and everything. He said, "I'm not. We meet up for a drink." And I said to him, "Kev, you know, you don't want to meet up for a drink today. You're with all the youth team and all that, like, you know." He said, "Don't worry about that. I'm bringing them with me." You know what I mean? Like, and so I'm in the pub, like, and he brought the whole squad of that youth team up into the 12 pins. Can you imagine what that was like? You know what I mean? And having a beer with them, and then talking about their FA Cup youth runs and things like that. That Tom, that's a gift, an absolute gift. You know what I mean? Like, would have that happened with AFTV? I doubt it. I'll be honest. I don't think that it would have. You know what I mean? So I've got a lot to thank that for, and you know, things like that. Yeah, 100%.
It's I think that makes it that's what I think that's one of the reasons why we've stayed friends so long is the kind of the genuine side to you, Lee, and the fact that you sit there and just go, yeah, look, without AFTV, I wouldn't be in this position. I wouldn't have this gift that I have. And I completely understand what you're saying about Kev saying, like, when you have that kind of connection with someone and you just know, yeah, we would have met someone like, there's no way we wouldn't have ended up mates because just, you know.
Yeah, it's something about that, because we are really like close friends and all that. Like, you know, I talk to his son on Instagram, you know, about Stoke games and things like that, and they like everything. We're just, you know, like when we meet up, you know, because Kevin lives in Manchester, so whenever we go to Manchester, we go to games together. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you know, and we've got a very, very good social life and friendship that, you know, that is really, really good. And, you know, who would have thought that, you know, I would have liked to have been, I'm going to lie, you know what I mean, if he was still playing at the Arsenal, it would have been even bloody better. But, like, you know, we just get on. And, you know, to be able to, you know, look, you know, people criticise Paul Merson and everything like that, but he comes up to me the other day and says, like, you know, I watch what you say all the time. And this is honestly what he said to me. He said, like, you say exactly what I think, but you're bloody popular and I'm hated, and I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, and you know, that was great. And then as he left the stage, you know, I'm sitting on a table with other Arsenal fans. He said, "See you later, Lee. See you soon." You know what I mean? Tom, what you know, I mean, he was one of the best players ever to play for Arsenal, in my opinion. And that, you know, saying "See you later, Lee," you know what I mean? It's an absolute gift, you know. And I've been fortunate, like, you know, through things like this, managed to go to the Savoy Hotel. I don't know if you've seen the pictures on Instagram. I'm on a table with David O'Leary. They're auctioning him to have a meal out with him. You know what I mean? I'm sitting there for free. You know what I mean? Like, and he leans over at me and goes, "I hate this, Lee." He goes, "You know what I mean? They're gonna. What happens if no one bids for it?" I went, "What are you on about? No one's going to bid for it. Of course they're going to bid for it. You know what I mean? You know, all-time Arsenal appearance. What's the matter?" Even he was a little bit worried about it. You know, do you know what I'm saying? I'm about to reassure him, David, don't worry about it. Like, people will pay for it. Don't worry. Like, it went for £3,000, Tom. Do you know what I mean? Like, I went and I just showed him. And I said, "There you go." And I'm sitting here.
So how was the meal? Was it worth £3,000, Lee?
I recommend it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the steak and all that was lovely. It was a 5-course meal. It was absolutely wonderful. All free and everything like that, Tom. Just because of just somebody wanted me to go and be on there. You know what I mean? Like, I've had some fantastic opportunities. You know what I mean? Like Ravu, you know, how I know him through. He's only through. He's got a complex out in Thailand, and my brother lives out in Thailand. Was turning around and saying, you know, he was a big Arsenal fan. My brother turned around and said, "Oh, do you watch AFTV?" He goes, "Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it." Like, you know what I mean? So Darren, like, being Darren, goes, "Who's your favourite on there?" So he goes, "Oh, there's only one favourite for me." You know what I mean? He's the one. He's the man. Like, you know what I mean? So Darren's gone, "Oh, that's my brother." So he's gone, "No, it ain't." You know? Wow. He said, yeah. He's coming over in a couple of months' time. Like, you know what I mean? Bring him up. We went up to this sort of thing, like the complex is unbelievable. Treated like royalty, Tom.
Yeah.
Treated like royalty. And then from that, I've become friends with Rav, who does all these sort of charity events and things like that. "Lee, can you come on this charity event?" "Of course I can." You know what I mean? Like,
I'd love to.
I love to. Like, do you know what I mean? And that's how I've got into things like that. You know what I mean? And you know, it's incredible. Like, you know, incredible.
Last 20 minutes of the show, I want to talk more about kind of AFTV and you on it now, and obviously some of the stuff that's come from that. As you know, and I'm very much well aware of, AFTV is a very divisive platform. And with every positive comment, you can be sure there's at least one to the other end of the spectrum. Have you, and you say that, like, you know, there was good comments, bad comments, you can take the stick and all of that, but have you experienced a heavy, like, have you done anything in game? I know we've got the whole, like, he's done it again scenario and stuff like that, but is there anything that you've ever said where you've genuinely received a lot of backlash and it hurt, like it affected you?
No, I've been very fortunate, Tom. I have to say that that even with the haters of AFTV, they seem to give me a free ride, if you know what I mean.
Do you
Because
know why? Like what? Because it's
I
so.
don't.
Because from my outside perspective, you see obviously Claude's got a lot of abuse. DT,
Yeah.
Truth, all of them got a lot and became almost in a way for certain sectors of the fan base kind of public enemy number one at
Mm.
times. So why did you avoid that?
Do you know what? I don't know. I honestly don't know. I've very grateful to everybody that's shown me the love, I suppose, and
Mm.
not done that. I've been on trains and they've people are going, oh, I hate that AFTV, and turn around and see me there and gone, sorry, Lee, but that's how I feel.
And
Fine, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
of course.
I said, you know, and I've got people come on there and gone like, I hate AFTV. You're the only one that's any good on it. Why don't you come on? I've had like people come up to me, and you know, I remember at Manchester City one time, 4 or 5 people. It was a little bit intimidating, if I'll be honest. Coming up to me and going, look, you know, you've got to get off of it. You know what I mean? You're giving it credibility. You know what I mean? Like if you weren't on it, you know, you wouldn't have the credibility. You're not doing it. You're not doing yourself no favors and all that. Like, and
Well, clearly, from what you've told us, you very much are.
you know, so it was there. I
Yeah.
remember. I tell you, this is a story. I don't know if you want to put this in or not, but I went to a Paul Merson and Ray Parler thing we'd been invited to, and we took a couple of friends. Michelle come, Marcia and Mark were invited, and we made a night of it. And I've gone into the toilets, and a bloke, you know, come up next to me, big old lump and all.
Yeah.
And he's gone, if you was DT, I'd smack your head in right here and now, like, you know what I mean? So I thought, well, I'm glad I'm not DTing it. Is what I actually said to him, like, you know what I mean? Like, and he laughed, and you know what I mean? So I don't know if it's just because of the way I am or whatever. And we went out, we was having a laugh as we come out. It really, there was a lot of hate about AFTV at that moment, really bad. And in the end, there was a big argument about, because Paul Merson had said he preferred George Graham, and Ray Parler said he preferred Arsene Wenger. And in the end, me and Ray Parler had to come out through a back door with security and get out of the place. So there was some really hairy moments, you know, because there was at one stage a real, I think, not just with AFTV, with the Arsene Wenger thing as well. It was, you know, getting a little bit toxic. And there was a time that I did question being on it. When I spoke to Robbie about that and said, look, you know, I'm an Arsenal fan. I'm for the fans. And if fans are hating it, you know, I'm not saying I'm representing the fans, because I'm not. But do you know what I mean? I don't want to be doing something that everybody's hating. And Robbie assured me that he was going to change it and go down a different route. And I think he has gone down a different route now, like, you know, and changed it. So there's still going to be hate for it. But I do feel that when people say, oh, it's toxic and this and that, they're not actually watching the content that's out there now. There's a lot of positive stuff and everything like that. So there was a time when I was questioning it. I think over all the time, Tom, I remember going to the protest and
the Super League one.
Yeah.
And
I had to get back to the studio to do the watch along, because I wasn't allowed in the ground at the time. I was late getting back because people were asking for photographs and getting stopped and all that. It was unreal. I had one person come up to me saying he'd like to smash my head in. You know what I mean? Like, so I look at that and I think I must have had 500 people coming up to me wanting a photo, like, hello Lee or whatever, like. And then, so one wanted to beat me up, like, you know what I mean?
Just like, because that's crazy. Like, you talked there about a story about someone come up to you in the toilets and saying, look, if you were so and so, I'd smack your head in. And now you've got a scenario where someone's come up to you in person and said to you personally, and we can talk about all of the positives, and there are loads. And I think it's certainly, and you said a lot of the kind of the benefits that have come out of AFTV, but if just coming from my perspective, like, and I'm from a very, very, very different kind of scenario, the idea of someone coming up to me and doing that is very threatening. Like what when they said that to you, what did you say, and how did that unfold?
Well, how it unfolded was there was two police officers standing there, and he come in between the two police officers and said it like, and
Not the best idea.
not the best idea. And at the end of the day, and yeah, like. It's not very nice because he's a fellow Arsenal supporter, and being honest, if it was Arsenal Spurs and he was getting picked on by Spurs fans, for instance, I would go in and help him out because you know what, he's an Arsenal fan, and there he is wanting to beat me up, like, you know what I mean. So for what? Because I go on a channel, or he don't like what I say, or he's just jealous or whatever. I don't know. You know what I mean? That's something. It's his problem rather than mine. If I look at it like, but I've been. To be honest, Tom, you know what I mean? If that would have happened when I first done it, I'd have probably been different to what I am now. like, you know what I mean? I've sort of realised you're always going to get a little bit of jealousy. Listen, I've had jealousy with closer to home, you know what I mean, and things like that I've had to deal with. Kevin's been a fantastic help on things like that because obviously he's had it all far better famous than I'll ever be and whatever. But ultimately has told me how to deal with these things and everything like that. And it is the same for him as a footballer. He's been abused by Arsenal fans. He's been abused by opposite fans and whatever. And it is. Listen, I remember, and I put a scenario to you, which is difficult when you're in a position when your life's changed, Tom, is that someone will ask you for a photo. And you'll get someone go, who does he think he is? Look, having a photo, yeah, So, right, I'll put that scenario to you. Do you say to that fella, no, I don't have photos, so he walks away saying, oh, look at him, who does he think he is? Because I don't want to have a photo with me. Or do you have the photo and hear one person turn around and going, oh, look, who does he think he's special? You know what I mean? Or whatever, like, So as a person, as an ordinary person, I've had to go through that in my mind and process what is the thing. And I turned around and said, well, if someone wants to have a photo, I take it as a compliment and move on. After the watch-alongs, Tom, and everything like that, it's just gone crazy. I can't go anywhere now. I go into to the local shops. People want photos, you know what I mean? Like, or come up to you and say hello and whatever, like, You get scenarios where people are staring at you on the train.
Is it
weird? You know what I mean? Like,
is it weird?
Say again?
Is that strange? Like, do you find it strange, or have you got used to it?
It's very strange. I wish I'd just come out and go, you Lee, or whatever, like, but they don't know whether to or not, like, do you know what I mean? Like, we find it quite funny, like, do you know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day. But, it's just the way my life's changed completely in things like that. You know what I mean? I go, like to Manchester, and people from Manchester recognise you. Wherever you go, Tom, it's not just locally around here. Like, do you know what I mean? And as I say, most people come up to me and just go, "Hello, Lee, how you doing? Can I have a photo?" Like, blah 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 blah, and they're as good as gold. I was doing a bit of shopping today in Tesco's, and a Spurs fan comes up to me and says, "Oh, Lee, I love what you say and all that." Like, and I ended up having a 5-10 minute conversation with him about the game on Sunday. I try really hard to wind all the Spurs fans up and all that, but I've got a big Spurs following. I can't help it. Like, I try my best. but people come up to me, like the fella, the Tottenham fan, comes to me and goes, I'm a Spurs fan, but I relate what you say and everything, and I think that's one of the things that probably gets me away with it, because I think people feel whether I support Arsenal, Chelsea, they can understand what they get where I'm coming from and whatever, like, do you know what I mean? And I hopefully they all think that I'm not false, because I'm not. You know what I'm like, and I go mad at times and all that. Like, but that's a moment of football. You know what I mean? You've seen me in the stands and things like that. What I'm like in the stands is what I'm like on TV when I'm doing things like on watch-alongs and things like that. But the watch-alongs have just gone mad. And listen, we went out to Cambridge a couple of weeks ago, Tom, and we're in a restaurant, and this is crazy when you think about it. I'm in a restaurant with friends and everything like that, and the car park stairway to the multi-story car park goes is outside on the window. And as I'm sitting there having a chat and all that, there's 10, 15 people taking photos from the stairway down into me having my dinner. You know what I mean? Like, so.
Oh my days.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So people, you know, it is incredible, like, you know. And listen, I get paid now, Tom, just to talk about Arsenal. You know what I mean? I went on done a show the other week where they said we want to pay you to slag off Spurs. I'd have done it for free. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? So, you know, at the end of the day, you get paid for it. You know what I mean? So you know what it's like now with your job and all that. Like, you know, one of the great. I get up every morning, and I'm not being cocky when I say this or arrogant or whatever. I don't think, oh, I've got to get up, I've got to go and work. Oh, I've got to do that. I get up. It's not work, Tom.
No.
It's me just having a great life and enjoying football and whatever. And it's just through one video that took me to where I am now. And yeah, I feel very, very fortunate. And I get that some people are not going to be happy with that. You know, I get that.
You can't please everyone, Lee. Like,
no, you can't.
Like I and people look at it from the perspective of I have tried to be such a positive person at times with this fan base, and you're never going to please anyone, even being like that. And I mean, I remember when I changed my opinion from being very much kind of Arteta in, and to change into an opinion of, I think a change of coach would be probably the better idea now. And yeah, people aren't going to like that. But what I would say about you, Lee, is, and obviously we went to the Crystal Palace game together a few years back when we lost 3-0 at Selhurst Park. Awful, rainy, cold night. I think we'd gone there with Mike and we'd had a drink beforehand, and it was a horrible game. And if I and I didn't, but if I ever have had any doubts about how you are during games, and then whenever I ever catch a clip of you shouting and screaming at a decision going against Ramsdale, for instance, at the weekend, like that, you like that during games. I think I've never feared for my life in a game more than the one I went to with you.
Well, listen, that's what I'm like. Listen, I've got a little bit of stick, and I'll address it while I'm on here. That I ain't going to away games. Someone put on a comment, oh, look, because you're famous now, you don't go to away games.
It's your
So
job,
you rather earn the money and things like that. It's got nothing to do with that. The reason that I am not going to away games at the moment is because my business is on its knees because of COVID and everything like that, where, you know, everything's not back to normal in the dry cleaning world. So I have to work. You know what I mean? Like, it's only me and Paul now. I used to have staff working for me now, like, you know what I mean? So sometimes on a Saturday, I have to like come in and do things in the morning, so that, because it's a 2-man job, and we're busy or whatever, like through that day, because we're only working 2 or 3 days when the machines are on. I have to, you know, I can't ask Paul to piece up, do the counter, press and do everything like that. So I have to do it myself. You know, we're not earning enough money where I can pay someone to do it. So there are times when I have to say on a Saturday, I'm saying, right, well, I ain't going to be able to go to that game or whatever like that, you know. So it's not me wanting fame or whatever like that. I'm still doing a full-time job, two full-time jobs, if you like, at the moment, you know.
Yeah.
But people don't know. People don't see that side of it. They just say, oh, look, he's copying the fame game and everything like that. It's got nothing to do with that. You know what I mean? Like, it's just putting priorities in, and I have to do those.
Even then, say that wasn't even a factor, Lee. Like, what Arsenal fan is going to turn down the opportunity to, as you say, wake up in the morning and think, first thing I get to think about is Arsenal. I would be doing that anyway, and now I'm going to do that as my job, and I'm going to get paid to do that. Like,
exactly.
What Arsenal fans turn that down?
No, I've had to change my. You know me. I like to go out with all my mates, go down the pub, have a few beers, and go. I can't do that now because work commitments tell me that I have to do other things. So I have to go to the studio and do bits and pieces before the game now. So I've had to sacrifice. I know, say that's a terrible word to say, like, but I have to not go out with my mates.
You've had to give it up.
To give that up to do what I have to do. It's my choice, you know what I mean? They offer me that sort of work. Do you want to do it or not? You know what I mean? So I said yes. So like the Tottenham game, for instance, we'll get down there a little bit earlier because it's Tottenham. So I can go in the pub for an hour, and then I'm going to say, right, guys, I've got to go now. Like, you know what I mean? Like where they go, you know, and I have to go and do what I have to do. I have to go and work. You know what I mean? Now, my mates will laugh at me when I say I've got to go work. They think, it ain't work, you know what I mean, blah, blah. And realistically, it's not. But, you know, you talk to Kevin or you talk to Ian Wright or you talk to Aubameyang and all that, like, they're going to play football. They actually don't say that they're working. That's their work. Do you know what I mean? So when they're going, oh, you're going to play, they don't turn around and say, I'm going to play football. They're going to work. So it's the same sort of scenario. So my life's changed, Tom. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna deny that. It has changed. You know what I mean? Like, did I ever think AFTV would get as big as what it's got? No, not at all. Like, you know what I mean? Like, in the years that I've been there, you know, it's grown now. So we've got massive offices, studios and everything like that. You know, so much so that, you know, I've got my own channel now, which I was hesitant to do for many a year because
Why?
I didn't want the backlash of people saying to me, "Oh, look."
But you said earlier, didn't you, Lee, that you're very lucky that you never really got that backlash. So what?
Yeah, and so
you haven't now, have you?
No. And so there's always that fear factor of upsetting the Arsenal fans. There's always been that fear factor to me because I love Arsenal. I love the Arsenal fans. I love interacting with Arsenal fans. I've got a fantastic, you know, I can go most of the time, like, you know, go to away games. I don't get no hassle when I go away games. You know what I mean? Like, they all come up to me and have a laugh and all that. I love all that. I want to be. I am one of them. I am an Arsenal fan. You know, so that's never going to change. So when it comes to doing the channel, one of the reasons that I done it, Tom, was because financially I needed to. I'm not gonna lie, you know what I mean? My business is on its knees at the moment because of whatever, like, you know. So I thought, well, shall I do it or whatever? I didn't really think I was going to make. I'm not really saying I'm going to make any massive amount of money, but anything, you know, as they say in Tesco's, every little helps. So that was the side of it, like, do you know what I mean? So, but I was worried that Arsenal fans were going to go, oh, look at him, he's jumped on the bandwagon and all that, like. I've got to say, I wish I should have done it years ago because I've got nothing but love from it again. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, and the backroom people. Do you know what? I have to thank Rory Jennings for this. You know, Chelsea. I've done a bit of work with him, and he said to me, "You've got to get your own channel, Lee. You've got to do it and all that." And I said, "Yeah, I'm not. You know, I'm not worried about it." He said, "Look, you should do it. Don't worry about it. I'm not very. You know, I'm not very technical and all that. Like, you know, go and do everything like that." He said, people will want to help you out. And I said, what people? He said, guarantee people will want to help you out. The team that I've got around me that are helping me out, Tom, and you know what I mean? Like, I didn't even know what a thumbnail was till 4 or 5. I mean, like,
yeah.
People that are helping me out.
I'm glad you've changed them, by the way, because your early ones were really irritating me. Like, the really white ones. Like, why were they so white?
Like, you know, it's sort of like, you know, that's through Dave, who works for AFTV, who said that he wanted to come on board and help and everything like that. And, you know, Robbie's been fantastically supportive of it as well. So I'm glad I've done. Do you know what? I enjoy what I do on it, Tom, because do you know what the greatest thing, and you'll know this as well, you can put out the content that you want to put out. And I feel that, you know, that you know, I don't get too much. Again, everybody quite likes the content I'm putting out and things like that. And I'm very proud of the fact that I've got I think I've been doing it 9 weeks now. I think it is 9, 10, might be a little bit.
1,000 subscribers.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, you know, so unbelievable, Tom. Like, you know, so you know, I can't thank everybody enough for being nice to me and whatever. Like, and the ones that want to be horrible to me, you know, that's their prerogative as well. I believe that you're always going to get people that are not going to like you in life, and that's it. You know what I mean? Listen, I have the guys, you know, with the memes and things like that. They phone me up or message me. Is it all right if we do this for one, Lee? You know what I mean? Is it all right if we put this on? It's funny. You know me. I've got a sense of humour. I don't take it personal. It's all a laugh. You know what I mean? Like, and I honestly, you know, I've had that dressing room banter all my life. You know what I mean? Through playing football or if someone's taking the mickey out of you, they like you. You know what I mean? Was always a thing that I've always grown up. My dad always said that if they take the mickey out of your shirt, they must have recognised it's a good shirt. You know what I mean? So I've always felt like that. So people can have a dig at me and take the mickey out of me. I've got no problems with that whatsoever. But I will say that the people on AFTV now, the Pippers, the Charlenes, Helens, James, I've got to mention them all. Like, you know what I mean? Cecil, Robbie, Laurie, who's his brother, who does all the stuff behind, the guys behind the backroom staff and all that, are genuinely lovely people. You know, Turkish, Dan, who's come on it now and all that. Like, there's some really lovely guys. Harvey, you know, people will criticise what they say at times and all that, but when you get to know them, Tom, they're nice. They're nice. They're like us. They're just human beings, and you're not going to like everybody on there, and you're not going to like everybody in life. You know, if you go into a football team, you're not going to get on with everybody. If you go into school, you're not going to get on with everybody. It's just life, and that's how it is. You know what I mean? So, you know, if people come up to me and recognise me and all that, like, I'm not going to say that I don't dislike it, Tom. You know what I mean? I'll be honest with you, like, you know, I'm because I've got an ego that needs massaging like everybody else. You know what I mean? And, that's how it is.
We've run out of time, Lee. Thank you ever so much for taking an hour out of your evening.
Well, that's gone already. That's gone quick.
Yeah, well, I say when you're having fun, time flies.
Yeah,
so,
you know what I mean. So
thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
I'm glad, like, you know, it's given me the opportunity to just say a few things and how my life has changed. You know what I mean? And listen, Tom, I'm going to say this now. You know, your life's changed. You know, from when you first went on the Gooner talk and things like that. You know, how it's changed.
I was a teacher, and now I'm a full-time.
I remember you moaning about it and all. But do you moan about your job now? You moan about it now? I don't think you do you? You know what I mean?
Not really, no.
And this is what I say. There's not many people in life that can say to look me in the eye, or look you in the eye, and turn around and say, I enjoy what I'm doing. I enjoy my job. I love my job.
Yeah.
That, Tom, is a gift. Trust me, it's a gift. Not everybody has that gift.
Lee Judges, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. If you'd like to drop a like on the video, please do, and subscribe to the channel if you can. And also, if you haven't already, but I'm sure you definitely have, please subscribe to Lee Judges TV as well. And you can find them over at AFTV as well. We will see you again for the next one very soon. Stay well, stay Arsenal. And as always, up the Arsenal.